Hello, I'm Pastor Dave, and these are our Advent devotions for December 2nd, 2021. Jesus is our childhood's pattern. Day by day, like us, he grew. He was little, meek, and helpless. Tears and smiles like us he knew. And he feeleth for our sadness, and he shareth in our gladness. There's something interesting in the biblical account of Jesus' life. We have the birth narrative, especially in Luke 2. We have the visit of the wise men from the east that didn't happen immediately at birth. It would have taken months for them to follow the star. We have the account of when he was less than two or fewer years of the flight into Egypt to avoid the wrath of Herod. And eventually Joseph being warned in a dream that it's time to come home and going up to Nazareth. Beyond that, the next we hear Jesus is when he's 12 and is presented at the temple and stays behind, much to his parents' chagrin. And then we hear nothing until he's about 30 years of age and beginning his earthly ministry. There's a lot of gaps there. And actually, to put that in a practical sense, to relate it to my own life, that would be like you hearing the story of my birth nearly 38 years ago. Hearing about the first move my family made when I was 3, and then not hearing anything until an account of my confirmation in the church at 12, and then nothing until I entered adult ministry at 29. I can say from knowing myself that there are a lot of gaps in there, and a lot of things happened to make me who I was. I experienced much. When we put this in Jesus' life, it's interesting to think and dwell on what happened. What did Jesus Christ encounter? What did he go through in life before the account of his earthly ministry picks up in the Gospels? In the grand scheme of things, it doesn't really matter. John completely ignored everything in Jesus' life before his ministry. And truth be told, those details probably weren't important for the faithful. That's the sort of thing that we have the luxury of stopping and thinking about. And as easy as it is to write off his formative years, it really doesn't matter. But in this verse, we get the account or an understanding of what happened. We have an understanding that Jesus grew. We know he was born. Though God, he was human. He would have had those years between in growing up to age 12 in the temple. And when he stayed behind, he would have had to learn to walk, to talk, to do things around the house, what he liked to eat, what he didn't. He would have had those boo-boos that children always talk about. And as he grew, he would have learned to be a carpenter like Joseph, learning the ins and outs of woodworking, learning how the world works. While in the grand scheme of things, this doesn't matter. It doesn't change our fate. But it is important to realize Jesus had boo-boos. Jesus understood physical pain, the pains that we have, and understood the struggles it takes to grow into the human we are. And unlike the pagan gods of his time, that tells us that God understands what it's like to be human. God understands our ins and outs, and we can find comfort knowing that our God understands. So that is our Advent devotion for today. I hope to see you tomorrow.